Welcome to Carrying On with TravelSMG. I'm Stephanie McCracken with Travel Show Marketing Group, joined by my co-host Kelley Wright, one of our travel agent relations managers. The goal of this podcast is to take you beyond the forum and give you an insider look into our events and the travel industry as a whole. Today, we're just going to give you some tips on how to make the application process as smooth as possible when it comes to our hosted events. But first, Kelley, tell me a little bit more about what hosted means at a TravelSMG event.
So I think that this is a really great question because I've actually learned over the last few months that there's a lot of people that have absolutely no idea what hosted means. So when you're hosted for one of our events and you're filling out that application, it actually means that you're coming to the event and that the event itself is covered for you. So you're not paying for the event, you're not paying for your hotel stay. And then there's some other great things that can be included as well. So depending on the event, and the type of hosted agent you are, you may have airfare included or money towards your airfare included, as well as transfers. And there's also sometimes going to be pre and post fam opportunities. So there's a lot that goes into being a hosted agent, which is why it's so important that when you're filling out that application, that you're doing it correctly.
All right. Thank you for that background. I know we get a lot of questions, especially as we announce events and like how much does this cost? So it's really good that we're understanding that we need to be more clear and explain what our hosted events mean and what agents get out of them. So our applications are on, each application is a little bit different and resides on each of our event sites. So you can follow along either at romancetravelforum.com or europeantaforum.com. And that will give you what we're talking about. But let's just kind of start at the very beginning about the event dates. What do they need to make sure about the event dates before they even start to fill out that application?
I mean, I kind of think sometimes that this is like just something that you would think that people would actually do, but make sure that you can attend on those dates. Check the event dates, make sure that you at that point that it works with your calendar, right? Like, yeah, it might later on you might realize that something pops up and you can't attend. That's fine once you're gone through the acceptance process based off of what the contract details are, right? But as far as when you're applying, make sure that, June 12th, you know that your kid's graduating from high school. Do not apply for an event that's from the 10th to the 15th or the 12th to the 3rd, whatever, 14th, whatever it is. Just make sure that those dates work for you and you don't have something in your life that's already planned then. Because guess what? That wastes not just your time of filling out the application, but then it wastes my time of reaching out to suppliers and vetting that application because when we're vetting it, we're really going through and making sure that, your references, we're checking with them, we're confirming your website and things like that. So this isn't just something that's a few minute process for us. It takes a bit of time.
All right. And even more simpler than just checking the event dates, name, email, and phone number. What could possibly go wrong with those?
It's crazy, but I can tell you that this week alone, I've had 3 or 4 different email addresses that have been wrong. And it's either an extra letter in there, I've had somebody leave out the word travel, things like that. Like just make sure one, I would hope that your name's right, but make sure that your name's spelled correctly. Make sure your phone number's on there right. I'm not looking to call people and spam them or anything like that. If I want to call you, it's because I want to ask you a couple questions on your application. And if I can't get through to you, then I might, put you to the bottom of the list or whatever it is. And the same thing with email. Make sure that your email address is correct. Again, something silly, but I know that when you're typing things out quick, you might make a mistake, but that's why proofreading is important.
Yeah, especially on email addresses, because the way our system works, everything's tied to that. There's some auto responses. When you populate responses in an email, if their email address is wrong, they just won't get it. And then they'll never know what happened with their application, if we received it or if it was accepted.
And that's actually a good point right there too,
Yeah.
actually, sorry, is with that email address. So when you submit an application for one of our events, you're going to get a response back saying that you applied to it right away. So as soon as you submit it, you should get an email back for the most part that it was sent in and that we're reviewing it from either myself or Lisa Marshall. So if you don't get that email, then maybe there's a problem.
Yeah. And then sales. Talk to me about sales and what we're asking for on our applications.
Absolutely. So, depending on the application and the event, there's different sales criteria that we're looking for. One, there'll be a range that you're going to select. Make sure that you're there, you're doing it correctly, you're understanding what those mean. That's your sales, not your commission. We're looking for what your sales are. A lot of times people will put what their commission is, and then that makes them look like they're not really as much of a seller as they are as far as an agent goes. You want, and if it's say if there's a range that says 100 to 500 and you're at that 485, then you can still put 100 to 500. And then in the description or in the why attend, you can indicate that, right? So there's always ways to do things like that and to make sure that if you're at a higher end of a range, that you're letting us know that information in the comments because that's really big for us. We read those, we really make sure that what we're going and who we're choosing is good for the event.
And you mentioned the why attend. Talk to me more about that. That's kind of more just like your last chance to kind of explain why you want to come to the event, but what other things should you think about when you're trying to fill that part out?
So to me, the big things that go there, and some of these things actually really make me laugh, is that needs to be why you want to attend, right? Not why AI thinks you should attend, not why AI thinks this is a good event. You got to be careful with that, right? AI knows nothing about the event other than what it's going to bring up when it's searching itself. So when you're doing that, you need to learn what that event is for. So if you're applying to something like the Las Vegas Travel Agent Forum or Romance, you know what that event's for. Las Vegas isn't about Vegas itself, right? It's about all of the suppliers that are there that are worldwide. So when you're applying for that event, that's what you need to indicate. You don't want to put like, I want to learn more about Vegas. That's not going to work. But guess what AI is going to tell you to do? It's going to tell you to put that because it thinks the event's about Las Vegas. So just when you're doing it, make it from your heart, not from AI. Yeah, you can throw it in AI afterwards if you really want to, but I really appreciate it when people just write it for themselves. And another kind of key thing with that is when you're putting it in there, again, this is a business event, right? This isn't like you're not trying to like win a contest. So you're not going to throw it in there like, hey, it's my 50th birthday. I would really love to be in Punta Cana for my 50th birthday. No, like that is not what this is about. Maybe for your 50th birthday, you don't want to be at an event because guess what? Then you're going to be like nonstop the entire time. So you got to think about things like that. Think about what you're putting in there and what's professional because that's really what's important.
Yeah, and on that why attend too, you just think about it as kind of like the ultimate tiebreaker. If we have two agents that apply that have very similar numbers, very similar everything else, which is certainly can happen a lot on these application processes. That why attend, if somebody has a strong why attend versus another agent,
Mhm.
the person who's going to get that spot is the person with that better why attend.
Absolutely. And it really matters. I'm going to tell you right now, I read those all the time. And that is sometimes what, wins me over.
All right, now references. Let's talk first about supplier references too, because we asked for two, correct?
Correct. Yep.
All right, what
So,
what are we looking for on those?
absolutely. So, in that supplier reference field, depending on the event, is the type of supplier that you're going to use. So, I have a few different things for this. Number one, for the supplier reference, make sure it's somebody that knows who you are. It seems like that's obvious, but it's not, right? So I reach out to suppliers all the time and they'll respond back with, I don't know who that agent is. They're not in our system. They haven't sold our product. Or I just met them one time. I don't know anything about them. So be careful. Just because you just met somebody at an event last week doesn't mean you want to put them as a supplier reference. The point of that is the point of that field is that you're putting somebody that can prove that you're an agent, right? That can prove that you have sales with them. So that's what you want to do. And, you can tie it into the different events too. So if you're applying to something like romance, where it's, destination wedding focused, you want to put a supplier there that can confirm, yes, you do destination weddings. Same thing for Europe, right? You're going to can put that supplier there that you're selling Europe through, things like that. So those are really key points to make sure that you're doing. And then the last thing with that too is that when you're putting that information, you have to put their email address. Number one, like their email address has to be there. It cannot be your email address. So when you're putting it there, make sure it's 100% their email address. Reach out to them, confirm that they're okay with you using them for a reference. And kind of that gives them a heads up too to be looking for something, right? We're going to reach out. Um, So just make sure that you're reaching out and you're like, hey, I just gave Travel Show Marketing Group your name as a reference. Is that okay? And that kind of helps too. And sorry, and the one other thing on that too is that I think is key is a lot of times if you have a destination that you're using as a reference, if you're not going on their website and logging your sales, then guess what? They don't know that you sell their product. They could see you all the time at events. You could tell them until you're blue in the face that, yes, 100%, I'm selling your destination all the time. But if you're not logging those sales on their website, it doesn't help. They'll come back and say, oh, yeah, I know that person. She's told me that she does stuff, but I don't have anything listed. And, that's what the suppliers are going to do. So make sure, one, that you're using someone that can confirm that you sell, and two, that they know who you are.
That is excellent advice. I think it's great to give the agents applying some more context into what we're looking for and what they need to do to personalize those references per event as well. So agency reference is another one after the supplier references. What does agency reference mean and what can they do about that?
So I think the best part for that is to be able to use an agent that can, again, confirm that you're selling a product. Don't use someone that you just met at an event. Don't use someone that's like your best friend. Really, please do not use your spouse or yourself. I mean, people put themselves all the time. And to me, that's a red flag right there, right? Like, that's not what that field is for. And the same thing with your spouse. Like, I really hope they like you. But if, if you put them there, then that kind of is a red flag too. So look for, if you're part of a host agency, use someone at your host agency. If you're part of a smaller agency, use your owner. Those are always great people to put there. Um, if you're your own independent agent and you don't have an agency owner or anything like that, put somebody else that's, up there and been selling for a long time. That could be a good reference for you.
All right, so now the agent has filled out the applications, they've listened to us and followed every little tip that we've given to them. What is the last thing they need to do before hitting that button?
Review that application. Please review it. Go back through. Yes, you've listened to us, but make sure that you check everything. I know sometimes spell check will change things or whatever it is on the computer. Just make sure that you're going back through, you're making sure that your name, email, all that stuff is correct, that you filled out all the fields, and then you can hit that submit button.
Perfect. And anybody looking for more information about our events and what events application process is currently open, they can visit our website, which is www.travelsmg.com. Kelley, anything else you'd like to say about our hosted events or application process?
I mean, get those applications in. Our hosted events are such a great time. They're such a great learning experience. I'm an agent myself. I've experienced them from an agent perspective as well as from a travel show marketing group perspective. And they are 100% worth coming to, and you'll get so much out of it. Get that application in. And if you have any questions on it, you can always reach out and either ask myself or Lisa Marshall if you have any questions. So our information will be there and you can, shoot me an email or whatever it is.
All right, thank you. And with that, thanks for joining us for another episode of our newest podcast, Carrying On with TravelSMG. And we will see you next time. Thanks.